Andrew Haug here for AndrewHaug.com, Australia's only dedicated 24/7 rock metal radio station. We are here at SOUNDWAVE Festival 2013. Their second time on the festival. We do have Matt, Tuck and Moose from Bullet for My Valentine. Australia certainly is a very familiar place for these lads, so welcome back, and I'm sure it feels good to be back on Australian soil.
That was it.
Feels very good, yeah. It's always one of the highlights of the touring cycle, Australia, so it's good to be back.
And again, perfect timing because you've just released a brand new record, Temper Temper. What has the reaction been from the audiences?
It's been great, we worked really hard on it. We think it's our best album to date. Before the album came out, there was kind of mixed opinion of a couple of the first singles, but I think now the album's been out a few weeks and people have lived with it. I think a lot of people are really warming to it, So it's one of those albums, I think, which is a grower, not a shower in that sense. But good, man. The reaction since we've been over here has been amazing. It's just been chaos as usual,
Well, let's talk again about mixed opinions. We know that the internet now has just opened up billions of voices. And I mean, before it was even invented, it was just a matter of some person's reviewing a magazine and they were the main voice, and it was like, oh, should we listen to that person? Now everyone has an opinion, and some of them are just downright arrogant and completely repulsive. I've seen over the years, the bigger bands get, the more shit they get. Metallica's perfectly the biggest example, probably the most hated band, but yet they're the biggest. Whereas Bullet for My Valentine certainly is rising up as well, as far as a new sort of generation of bands too. And the flack would be certainly rife. So obviously over the years, you've had to develop incredibly thick skin to just deal with that. I mean, how do you retain the strength?
Because I think the way we've done it is we've always done what we've wanted to do. And if we're happy with something, we couldn't care less if people don't like it or not. And that's just a rule we've always lived by pretty much since after the Poison, and thankfully that rule has got us where we are today. So yeah, it's not nice to read negative stuff, but at the same time, it's like we're killing it, and that's all that really matters for us, So we just kind of ignore it. Even the good stuff, it's nice to read, but we don't really take it seriously anymore. Yeah. Because it's not really relevant. One person's opinion is not a truthful, relevant representation of anything, So
it used to piss me off. It used to really grip my shit because we work really fucking hard trying to write music that we like, and then people just bring it down. Yeah. But like you said, I take it as a compliment now because I go on other bands' Facebooks like Metallica and Iron Maiden, and they get it as well. So it's kind of like, well, if we're getting that shit the same as them, that means we must be climbing the ladder,
Well, they say, all publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad. The fact that someone has you in their subconscious enough to sort of spit it out.
Exactly.
Shows
for
it,
For them to go on our Facebook page and like it, just to slag it off, wicked. We're winning. They're losing. We're winning.
Now, talking about, we spoke, Matt, earlier on a couple of weeks back, closer to the release of Temper Temper, where you said you went in the studio and hadn't written anything before. Is this something you're going to do in the future? Because considering how happy you guys are about this album more than any of it, it's got to be sort of the new approach to future recordings.
I think we're definitely going to carry this style forward. I mean, if stuff does come along while we're on the road, then that's cool, so be it. Yep. We're not going to not do things just because of the way we've done this. But I think it was just such a more creative, energetic way to do an album. And we weren't regurgitating, re-recording old stuff we'd accumulated over the last couple of years. It just made it far more spontaneous and enjoyable. So should we get stuff along the way over the next couple of years, we definitely won't ignore it. If it's good, we'll use it. But if we don't come up with one riff, I'm not really sweating about it.
There's one already there. There's one there. It's a clean riff. It's fucking awesome. It will be on the next album.
Very good.
There you go, exclusive.
Well, I spoke a little bit earlier on with Tom Morello from Slayer, and we talked about longevity in a band. I mean, 33 years for Slayer, it's just unbelievable. Even himself was surprised until people pointed out he doesn't think about it. And we talk about sort of you guys as the next generation of bands. We know today's society has such the shortest attention spans. It's, where it's information overload pretty much. Do you guys think about the future of the band?
Again, that's something we've never really looked too deep into. We're very much aware that we don't want to leave it too long between albums. That's the only kind of thing I think that we think about. Yep. As soon as the touring cycle's done, we'll have a nice bit of time off, enjoy some family time, but then we got to get back on the bus, and carry the momentum going because, thankfully I think we've got to a level now where we can have a bit more breathing space than most bands because I think we've established ourselves pretty much globally where, we won't go away. Yep. But that's not something we want to do anyways. We do definitely want to keep, in the eyes and ears of people all around the planet, and that requires a constant stream of work, So we're not afraid of that, but that's kind of the way we look at it.
Now, obviously, you guys were sort of born into the information age generation as far as a band. Now, today, there's a billion more bands than ever before. Do you keep up with bands? You check out new bands. I mean,
there's too many. That's the thing.
Do you find it's a survival game out there now because there's so much competition, and the fact, as we talked earlier on about albums sales declining and people not buying music, they're just downloading. The touring is the bait, so to speak, and there's a billion bands out there touring a billion shows, and not everyone has money to go to all the shows. We have the same thing for SOUNDWAVE when we get hit with all these sort of shows. So how do you sort of focus on staying ahead?
Again, thankfully, we got signed at a time where we were kind of last of a more of a traditional record deal, etc. Like, you know, I mean, so we got a major record deal. I mean, if we were around today, I think bands are just willing to just sign anything just to be able to get their name out and get on a road, you know, which we would have done exactly the same thing. But I just think because of the way the industry's gone, you know what I mean, it's become increasingly tough, and there's bands that are getting signed literally because they're signing everything away and they're not really paying attention to what they're doing. But I mean, desperate times call for desperate measures, and we probably would have been guilty for exactly the same. You know, we were desperate as well, but thankfully we didn't have to go down that road. So, you know, again, thankfully, you know, we're secured by a major label, and we've got, you know, a huge fan base around the world and stuff. So we're kind of a bit out of touch with a lot of the new bands that are coming through, just because, like you said, there's so many that I just can't keep up. I mean, I really just, you know, just can't keep up anymore.
This all sound the same as well. When like a scene band kicks her up or kind of makes it kind of semi-big, there's like 1,000 mini bands.
There doesn't seem to be anything breaking through, which is kind of a revolutionary new rock or metal. You know, there's always that band that breaks through every few years.
Yep.
And that's it. That hasn't happened for a long time.
I'm starting to think that might not be sustainable, because today there's so many subgenres and so many bands sort of, in their eyes, creating something new, yet they're already lumped into some genre, and therefore they're stuck in that. They're never going to bust out of it, and if they bust out of it, their fans will ditch them because they've changed their style, and sometimes they're left in no man's land, and then their career dwindles. You know, that's just my opinion anyway. But we can get you guys to choose your favourite track from Temper Temper, and even one of your old sort of back catalogue tracks, and even, I guess, some advice for younger sort of bands that are aspiring to you know, step up to the bullet plate.
I think the only piece of advice I would give, and I give it quite a lot when people ask that, is just to do what you want to do, not to do something you think people want to hear. Because we struggled with that for years growing up as a younger band, and then as soon as we kind of locked into our formula, you know what I mean, we stuck with it, and we've always done that, and we've never been afraid to roll with what we want to do. And that makes the success and everything a far more satisfying thing, because we know deep down we've done shit for no one apart from us, you know what I mean? Yep. So I would, you know, just stay true to yourself, do what you want to do. If you want to be the fucking heaviest band in the world, so be it, go for it, you know? If you don't worry about what people might say about that, you know? Do what you want to do, because should it happen, you'll be able to sleep at night, and you'll be able to be so proud of what you've achieved, you know? Yep. And that's what has happened to us.
Very good. And what track do you guys want to hear from Temper Temper, and even something from a previous Bullet record?
I don't know, let's go with the opener, Breaking Point from Temper Temper.
Chose that last time. Still a sticker.
Yeah.
And what about you, Moose?
Let's go Ashes of the Innocent off the bonus edition of Screaming Fire.
Ooh, heavy.
All right, very good. Let's check out some Bullet for My Valentine now on andrewhaug.com, Australia's only dedicated 24/7 rock metal radio station.